Hi everyone, welcome to the Superhuman Switch, a mind-body business empowering podcast for high achievers guaranteed to switch your superhuman levels on. Today I'm joined with Robyn Abou. Hi Robyn,
Hello.
how are you?
Very good.
Abou, I'm sure that a lot of people they get confused how to mention the family name, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, but Robyn, it's fascinating because I was following your work, and before we dive in, I'm really interested to let the audience know more about you because you cover a lot of interesting topics these days, and yeah, we can dive into it. So, who's Robyn?
Who's Robyn? Okay. So Robyn is a personal branding expert. Lebanese Australian, that's my surname. So both parents are Lebanese, but born and raised in Australia. I've studied marketing 16 years now. Been in the industry for about 16 years. Started in the tech, basically worked across multiple industries, whatever it is, you name it, software, F&B, real estate, medical. And throughout the journey, I realized that it was the people that empowered me and gave me the space to grow. And it was those leadership, those individuals. And even though I worked in corporations and organizations, it was those people that gave me the platform to excel. So I always thought, how do we find these leaders? And the leaders is all about the personal branding. So you could say I was interested in personal branding along the way because it was all about your identity and how do you recreate that and how do you grow.
That's true.
And then I would say during COVID, there was a demand or a period where everyone was trying to figure it out. Who am I? What do I want to be? And personal branding started to surface a lot more. And for me, that was really exciting because I started to then get recognized in that space. People started to reach out to me to kind of help them throughout that journey. So now I've kind of gone and specialized in that space, working with really elite individuals. We're very lucky, very fortunate. C-level entrepreneurs, people that have high pressure jobs, but also trying to they're human too, and they want to be able to position themselves and make sure that they're excelling in the space as well.
I love it. It's a really interesting field, especially now what's happening with the social media and all the mediums that are available now. It's opening it as a platform for everyone to speak out and to be available out. And what's happening now with the economy, where I call it like the creator economy, is distinguishing between the founder and the people that they're just creating any content. And this is where I'm finding a common ground how these founders or the executives, they can be present because people more relate with the individual more than the brand.
Yeah,
Is this
correct.
the trend is going in that direction?
Yeah, people buy into people, and we forget that, and we forget that organizations are made up of people. And we always aspire to work for a company name, not thinking about who the leader is. And really, it's the leader in that environment that makes all the difference.
True.
And it's how do you find those leaders? Because you find out later what your environment's going to be once you've worked for big names, And I've worked with big names. I've worked with Microsoft. I worked with Amar. I've worked with Apple during university. And, along the way, I was like, it's not about that, And especially now there's a lot of startups happening. You don't know what the brand is.
Yeah.
Who are these people? What are they doing? So, we start following people's journeys and the content online we see through, individuals creating that content.
Do you think that this trend is being moved to the Middle East? Because I still see a lot of this kind of movement happening outside of this region. Do you think that there is a focus in this part of the world about this important element?
I feel everyone comes to Dubai and the Middle East with ambition. You're always surrounded with ambitious people. Okay. And so they're coming in with an objective. And people come in and they want to be something, right? And no one actually can define what they want to be. This is the thing. So I see the three phases. You've got branding, then you market that brand, and then you do PR for that brand. Everyone wants to jump to the PR stage. Everyone wants to get up and be a TEDx speaker or a keynote speaker or be on a panel. And they haven't done the foundational work.
That's true.
So I work with them on, hey, let's structure who you are. Let's figure out who you are. Then you learn the second phase, which is marketing yourself. How do you then utilize your own platforms and create your own voice, your own channels? And then once you've established that, someone else will want to extend that voice on their platforms.
I love it, yeah.
Publications, speaking, panels. And people think personal branding is all about content creation. It's not. It's absolutely not. That's just a part of communicating your story.
I see.
But until you figured out who you are, you're not going to be able to do that. So the minute anyone says to me, I don't know what to post, means you haven't done your foundational work.
I see the angle of it, and surprisingly, when I was studying this space, I found myself, when I jumped to the content creation part, I realized that there's something missing in the message that I need to deliver. And the moment I realized this, I defined the purpose that I'm aiming for, and based on this purpose, I defined the values. And it became much easier to be selective on which channel of communication I focus on, what's the type of content I need to create and share. And I realize now that there is a pattern. Once things started to move forward, certain people became more interested in this topic and became creating a tribe about certain space or certain topic. But I really like the way that you break it down, because everything now, especially now with the big organization, I was part of them too, that they focus on highlighting an event where the main speaker is the CEO or the executive, when in reality this is a one-shot, people they don't relate with.
Yeah.
So this is where I see your point. It's becoming more personalized, and people, they follow a person and not a company itself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you could say my mission was to flip the narrative. I'm like, how do I surface the leaders of the world so that people are looking for leaders when applying for jobs? That the role says not just the organization name, but it says led by on LinkedIn, and it says the leader's name.
True.
And then when that individual clicks on that profile, they are then brought into their world, and that individual knows how to brand themselves. And by branding themselves, you have to be your authentic self. I know that's such a buzzword, but you have to be real. We met online, right?
Yeah,
we met on LinkedIn.
True.
And then when we met in real life, it was the same person.
True.
Yeah, I knew that I could tell, because I see people do it. I see people force content, and I see people just, share ideas and express themselves. The content is just you expressing what you feel. It's not something that should be forced. What do I post today? No, it's what you feel. It doesn't have. There's no structure in a human. Other than the routine that you create possibly at the start of the day because an alarm wakes you up. That's the only thing that you can control.
That's true.
You can't control how you feel. If I could control what I felt all day, I would select happy all day.
That's a good choice, yeah, but it's not gonna happen for sure.
So sometimes, you don't feel like posting, or the thought doesn't come to you. Sometimes I have random thoughts that I write down that I share later, right? So I kind of switch the word post with share, and then that's when people can resonate with you. Content's all about it's something that's relative to you. It's like a quote. When you see a quote, it only resonates with you when it means something to you in that moment.
True.
So it's very similar to sharing content. People get overwhelmed with, is someone going to engage with what I'm saying? Are they going to like it? Are people seeing it? People are seeing it. Are they engaging? No, but they're seeing it, which is an engagement for me. People might have messaged you before, oh, yeah, I saw that, but, oh, great, why didn't you comment on it?
Yeah, if you're worried about the metrics and how people engaging with your content, I think you are going into a rabbit hole of concerns. Where I think, based on your point, that sometimes out of nowhere I receive a message and he tells me that, I've seen this post, I'm really interested to discuss this certain topic with you. I said, I don't know you.
Oh, I love that. There you go.
Yeah. I've never seen you engaging with my
stranger.
content. Yeah, but that's the cool thing. But yeah, I like to go back not only for the content part, which I totally agree with you about how going back to the fundamentals to really define yourself. Yeah. And how you establish this. Of course, you have a lot of tactics, techniques. Every social media is becoming more interested on how to deliver a certain message. But I'm really interested. You mentioned that why you decided to go in that direction.
Yeah.
Not because of the demand, of course. After COVID, things a little bit accelerated in that direction. But I'm really interested why you personally picked it.
I picked personal brand. Okay.
Yeah, it's like.
So I'm gonna take you way back. So. As a teenager or a child, actually, I was an athlete in basketball. My father played for Lebanon. He then pushed us really into sports. Like our punishment was push-ups, 6 a.m. sprints to just learn discipline. I was playing netball And then he came to one of my games. I was really, really good at netball.
Okay.
And he looked at me, and when I finished, he's like, you're not sweating enough. Switch it to basketball. Okay. I was like, what? So I switched to basketball. We were quite tall. My dad's 6'4", so I was actually this height at 15. So to me, I was, Dad's like, yes, she's going to be an international basketballer. I played state, was going to play national, and then I stopped growing.
Okay.
Both me and my sister. I was like, sorry, Dad. No, I could have continued, but then I started university, and so when we were talking about that switch, so I was working, was playing so much into sports that I was on a mission to be the physiotherapist for Kobe Bryant. I put it in my head. That was like my end goal. Now, my uncle used to work for L'Oreal Europe, so he used to run the salon division. He was there for 20 years. So at the time, and if you know L'Oreal, they're full of perks.
Yeah.
So he used to come every year with like perfumes, lipsticks, mascaras, whatever it was. One year he came back with 4 boxes, so it was like quadruple the amount. Okay. So I'm like, what happened? I'm like, why so many boxes? He said, we had a really good quarter this year. We were selling the shampoos. We put the shampoo bottle on the shelf.
Okay.
We attached a teddy bear to it, and all of a sudden sales went up, skyrocketed, because the mums were emotionally attached to the teddy bear because they wanted to give that teddy bear to their child.
Okay.
So as a 15-year-old, I was like, wow, that's so messed up. Are we that easily convinced? How do people, why do people do what they do? So I had that curious kind of behavior kick in. 10 minutes before submissions closed for university, bye-bye Kobe Bryant. Applied to marketing.
I apologize.
Sorry. Bye-bye physiotherapy. Up went marketing. Okay. I had no idea what marketing was. Stepped into that world and specialised in that consumer behaviour. So along the way, I was always interested in how people behaved. And then through that, I started to realise I wasn't able to excel if I didn't have that great leadership. Very early on in my career, I was quite lucky. And I learned that from my father giving me that space, that no gender limitation. You can be who you want to be, both physically and mentally. Yeah. And then I was in software, and in software it was predominantly men, right? Crazy. Google, Microsoft, all of that. And if the males didn't give me that space to grow, then I wouldn't have been able to flourish as an individual.
That's true.
And I was like, wow, these leaders are amazing. If I had known the leadership prior, I would have worked for you, not thinking, software is boring. I wanted to work for something in fashion or, every little girl's dream, maybe.
That's true.
Or maybe after I saw all the L'Oreal products. Yeah.
Okay.
So, throughout that, I then realised, that's when the personal branding thing came into my head.
True.
And then also with my parents leaving Lebanon into Australia and their degrees weren't recognised. Dad was an economist, mum was in marketing law. They had to reinvent themselves. So I saw that, it was just like this constant reinvention and evolution of who you are and who you want to be. Okay. And then through, as I continued to grow, I had, I would say, 2 great leaders, lots of challenging ones, but also 2 really great ones that propelled my career. And that's when that whole idea of, why can't people brand themselves as well?
True.
Why is it always organizations? And my generation, it came through the period of the transition of the technology, right? When Instagram came and Facebook came. Yeah. So I've lived without technology and I've lived with it.
It's the millennial curse.
The millennial curse, yeah. It's kind of like hovering between the two.
Exactly.
What do I want to be? So, it was... Then that platform came out, the accessibility of everyone. Okay. So everyone that you used to watch and think about, right? Celebrities were untouchable. Now I know everything that they do, where they live. There's reality shows. True. Everyone's accessible. So I'm like, wow, personal branding's not new. Celebrities did it all the time.
Absolutely.
Kim Kardashian is like the pinnacle of personal branding. Absolutely. And just throwing out lines. Singers, artists, The Rock, I used to love him. Yeah. All of a sudden now he's making tequila lines.
McGregor, all of them. It's like, if you look into the social media, basically followers of Elon Musk compared to Tesla, the same thing for Richard Branson versus Virgin.
Correct.
They have the same pattern. But people, they don't realize this instantly. But I don't know if it happened by coincidence or some smart guy who started this trend and a lot of them they followed and now started to expand.
Yeah, I think the platforms started to come out where they were able to surface their brands a lot more and become accessible and influential. So this is the thing, influencers, you have to be influential of something, and you don't need a following to be influential.
Not to misuse the word influencer,
Yeah.
because it's a sensitive topic now. It's becoming, now there's the creator, kind of more uplifted name, because again, I think the influencer part is becoming more and more sensitive.
Yeah, this is the thing with words and categories, even personal branding. Everyone's thinking that's
Exactly,
just
I was going to mention it. Also, it's a misuse, and everyone became especially But yeah, please carry on. It's something that it's just to highlight that people.
No. It's very true. So that's now that there's the platform for it, celebrities are able to surface themselves.
True.
Even a lot more themselves. You've even got Netflix and reality shows like Ronaldo, for example. He's really utilizing his personal brand, and it's all him. Everything's coming in from him, and he's injecting that into multiple areas.
That's true.
So I think that's now why it's probably becoming a lot talked about, personal branding, and now people can do it because they're trying to figure out their identity. And people think that you need to be famous to have a personal brand. No, it's about influencing your network, and then your network then grows, and those people within that network have been influenced by you when they speak, and that goes back to the basics of word of mouth.
True. I love this framing. It's true. It's that the word of mouth, and it's not about how many people you know. It's about how many people they know you.
Exactly.
It's
and you never know that. You never know that number.
True.
You never know that number.
It's. I love the way you framed it, because again, it's like. But the question is that how many people that they know, but are they willing to do it? Because there is kind of imposter syndrome and this kind of like confidence to play behind the camera or like speak, or even in the public speaking. I know a lot of people that they have the knowledge and they're sitting on a mountain of knowledge, but they don't have the courage to put themselves out.
So that's the thing. People think it's about showing off, and usually it's the super talented people that don't express, like you said, they don't surface themselves. How do you find them? So that's why I always say it's not about you, right? When I brand myself, it's not about me. If I surface myself, I create myself accessibility.
Okay.
So that people can find me and I can support them.
I see. Yeah.
So you need to find it. You need to be reachable. So personal branding is about surfacing yourself and becoming accessible. So I did personal branding for an Emirati doctor, actually.
Yeah.
And I said, it's not about you. They would, she was nervous about, I don't want to show off. I don't want, I just want to help the people. I go, I get that, which is amazing. But how are they going to find you? How are you going to help these people if they can't find you?
That's true.
So it goes for the same for everyone else. Sure, you've got all this knowledge and you want to share it, but how are they going to hear you if you're not able to surface yourself? And the tricky thing with personal branding is I can never pitch personal branding. It doesn't work that way. You have to be ready. I've never gone out.
That's interesting, yeah.
I've never gone out and pitched ever. People, when they're ready, there's a moment when, and that could be anything, even in entrepreneurship. Do you take that transition? Do you push yourself over? So when they push themselves over, I'm available because I'm searchable. If you type in personal branding Dubai, I come up as number one.
That's true.
So, and I built that because I wanted to be accessible, and I keep saying that. How else am I going to help people?
Yeah, it's a total different approach for it, but it goes back to how you define the message that you need to keep on. But the point is that, based on my experience, is that the moment you start, you don't have to define them before you start.
Yeah.
The moment you start, you will be able to adjust and iterate, and most important element is to hear out or to listen from the people that they started to have traction with.
Yeah.
And you can, of course, it's a journey. So going back to your advice, not to define your personality or the voice, just start, and then you can modify along the way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You need to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you can figure out structure to then propel, and that's where I end up coming in, because people are like, okay, now I'm ready because I'm kind of figuring myself out, but I really need to get myself surfaced, and that's when the foundational work comes in.
Okay, you as
Me.
Robyn, where are you in that journey, and what are the things, the biggest challenge that you faced when you jumped into that space? Is that, okay, you understood it from long time ago.
Yeah.
And again, I think we were clear on the principle that you defined how you progress in that and you create this accessibility. But what are the main challenges that you defined and you overcome that to start moving forward with this?
I feel the word was really tarnished. Personal branding was really tarnished. I think there's an expectation of when they approached me, I'd start posting for them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I was like, hang on a second, you're way ahead. You're super far ahead.
Yeah.
And they would be like, they're like, can you give me the costs, please, for, posting monthly, and this is how many posts I want. I was like, hang on a second. If anyone says that they can post for you, don't ever do that, because personal branding is personal. You're forgetting the personal part. And that's why when I do discovery sessions, it's one-on-one. I need to get to know you. And I need you in your raw, vulnerable self. Because then how am I going to create that strategy for you to then create the content? So a lot of the work I do is in partnership with the individual.
Okay.
Sure, creating formats and videos and pictures you need support with. I need support with, We all can, the millennial thing, right? We can do it ourselves, but...
On the signal, I put now a challenge that how can I post something in the 3 minutes waiting at the signal light? Just before you lose the temper, it's a funny trick, by the way. Like,
oh, I love
it. It's working well. It's like, okay, instead of waiting for nothing, it's like trying to post. But yeah, I think this is the mindset started people realize that it's not a marketing kind of agency.
Yeah, it's just like, hang on a second. Yeah, sure, you can create content, but yeah, you're not there yet. And if you don't know what to post about, I need to get that content from you. You need to open up because it's about you. Because if I create something and it's not you, you're going to be like, oh, but that's not really me. I'm like, well, yeah, because I didn't get to know you. And that's what happens. I had a lot of people in reverse that I had to fix what other agencies were doing. Yeah, unfortunately.
See, I love this space, and next week I'm publishing my newsletter. It's my list. Like, I think it's the 5th, about finding your voice, about the topic of resistance, and how you define this. Which the resistance is the club of this imposter syndrome, procrastination, the ego, the arrogance, and all of them, and how you overcome it to become more, to find your voice.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, which is interesting. Of course, it's discovery. It's not defining, but it's like I'm gonna publish whatever I can come up with, and it talks how this kind of a mindset. Before we jump into, because all what you can see now online are the hacks, the tools, the systems, which is important. But as you mentioned, and I did not realize that take all of this out and focus. Okay, what's your voice? What's your appearance? What's your look? What's your voice? Are the people? If you need to worry about if they are going to relate with you, you're doing it all wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah, this space, we can dive into it.
I know. We can just talk further.
But I want to circle back to Robyn, because you went to that discovery and you realized that you are on the marketing, and I think it evolved absolutely, working with great organizations in the marketing space, and you jump to the person. But how are you taking care of yourself in the space of personal branding on the personal level when it comes to the platform awareness?
So, I went through the phase as well, coming in from cultural toxic environments, corporate environments, where it's toxic. I actually went back home for a year. So I left the organization, went back home for a year, and I went on my own self-discovery. At the time, my father was unwell, so that was also a drive going back home. Okay. But I also was like, being an expat here, you're always in your head. You're like, oh, it's always short-lived, right? So I had a moment. I went back home for a year, and then I realized, I'm going to give it a good 12 months. Give myself space, be around family, around love, and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And then I'll decide, because the decision's going to come to me. Because if I make a decision and I'm not sure, then it's not the right one. For me, I've always been very confident in the decision I've made, because in that moment I've hit a crossroad and I'm like, yes, and I take it.
I see.
So I went back home for a year, and then I was like, Mom, Dad, Australia's not for me. I don't know where I'm going to go, but I'm buying a one-way ticket to Thailand.
Okay.
So not that Thailand was the destination I wanted. I just needed to find myself.
Get out from the environment.
I need to get out from the corporate life. I need to get out just to kind of just go back to basics. So I went to Thailand. I did a lot of bartering. So at that time I was doing a lot of influencer stuff, but on the way met other influencers. So I was staying at hotels, creating content, villas. I was in bartered with a gym. I did the branding for a food company, healthy food company. So it was, it just kind of all, the manifestation, right? It started just to all come to me.
Okay.
And then, so I was there for probably 2 months. And then I was approached from an organization here. Hey, we have an opportunity. We were speaking to you a year ago. Are you still interested? I was like, sure. Why not? It was a really good organization. They flew me out from Thailand. So I'm like, oh, I hope you don't mind. I only have like a suitcase of bikinis. So I shipped my luggage from Australia in parallel. Okay. Not that Dubai was my last destination, but I was like, you know what, that opportunity came to me and it was a really good one.
Yeah.
So they came back to Dubai.
But the funny part that it's like, okay, it's a hot country, of course, but the fact that moving from Australia to Thailand and Thailand to Dubai.
Yeah, it was really random. Really random.
Yeah.
Super, super random. So I kind of went back in that loop. But I rebranded myself. So I used to be in fitness modeling. I did competitive fitness modeling.
Nice.
And I did about 3 shows in the bodybuilding space. But back then it was like bikini, where now bikini's become a little bit more ripped and not as natural. Feminine, natural. Exactly. So I had to get out of that space. But I did it for 3 years. We had sponsorship. My brand online was all that. So going into Thailand, I rebranded myself.
Okay.
So I was fit and curvy before. I was trying to create a movement where you kind of were fit, but you could still have curves, especially being in Middle Eastern, right? We just love food and
nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
So if you could be fit and eat everything, great.
Oof, this is the perfect thing.
So then I rebranded myself to a girl named Robyn. So when I was rebranding, I was trying to keep it simple, like how am I? And once again, going back to basics, I was just a girl named Robyn with all these things about it. So then I took ownership of that handle name. You could say that was kind of my branding, my brand identity. I'd say I got my health back as well. And then I came back to Dubai, and then I took on that persona because that's who I was, because personal branding evolves.
Love it.
And then I just, been here ever since. 10 years now. It's been a while. But throughout that, I've always given time for myself. Mentally, I think is very important.
Yeah, I'm interested to know more about
But yeah, so my space is the gym. I stay there for a few hours. Sure, I'm productive in my workout, but it also gives me time to kind of digest.
I see.
Sometimes I do morning walks as well. Inconsistently consistent. Now I'm a lot more consistent because I have a new dog.
Okay.
I know you 7 months, but yeah, the dog gets me up in the morning.
Everyone I speak with, like, they start to enjoy the dog walking, and it's like becoming more. It's like a drive for them to walk.
It helps. I didn't realize how much it helps because when the dog's up, the dog's up. You know, it doesn't snooze. I try to make it snooze, but it doesn't work.
You're a specialist in snoozing, right?
Yes. So bad. I know. I was doing it for a long time, but I realized I was doing it because I was so tired from corporate work.
I see.
So I would put the alarm super early just to kind of give me a rollout space. I call it a rollout space, kind of.
Okay. But how did you realize this, that trying to avoid this corporate because of this?
How did I realize that?
Yeah. It's like,
the switch kind of where it happened. I realized, and I think a lot of people come into this moment where they're just like, I don't feel good.
Okay.
Right? Something's not right health-wise in this organization that I need to choose me. So I started to choose me. I started to go on a mission to stop snoozing. That took a while. Now I don't snooze, which is amazing. I don't need to snooze. My dog's my alarm.
Okay. It's good.
Which is good. And it was, I decided to resign and I wanted to do something for myself. And that's when I started my own business, Guided, 2 weeks before COVID, which was a blessing, but also super challenging. Because you've set yourself up, you've told yourself, I'm going to do this, and then external factors come in.
Yeah.
Right? And I was very well known in the tech space. I was leading a lot of transformational things out in the region, a lot of AR, VR stuff. I launched a lot of the first apps in the region with Beacon technology. a lot of the things that I don't surface and talk about, but I was very much in technology space.
Okay.
And I thought that's where the demand would be. And then COVID hit. And then all of a sudden it just shifted into no one's spending. Why would you market when no one has money?
True.
Why would anyone spend
The
in
first
marketing?
budget cut is hit the marketing.
Yeah, hit the marketing.
Wow, but you were in a really interesting space, and now you're not considering going back, regardless what's happening now within tech space and the contraction, but you're not considering it because it's obvious that you excelled in that area.
Yeah, it's more like I enjoy it, but the change you make with people versus the change you would do digitally.
I see the difference.
There was the impact I would create, the positive impact. I know that word, I hate the word impact, to be very honest, but
It's a reality, but at least tangible results.
Yeah, it was more. I wanted to be able to. That was my way of giving back.
I see.
There are a lot of tech experts now. If I ever need support or if I ever wanted to go back into it, I can absolutely do it. The knowledge is still there and I'm still, I love it. So I still stay up to date with everything because things are going to evolve. Maybe in the personal branding space, we get into a whole, God, who knows?
True.
The meta or something, augmented reality or VR, whatever it is.
That's interesting.
You never know. You never know.
True.
But I loved that interaction with people because I actually learn a lot. That the level that I work with, the things that they open up with, and every time after every session, I have apologetic messages for saying, "Oh, I think I shared too much." I said, "No, you actually shared what you were supposed to share." But that's what personal branding is, not me going and just posting your inspirational quotes. It was me getting to know you, knowing what your turning point was. Because that's the rule that everyone wants to see. And the common denominator that I found across all these high achievers is they went through something traumatic.
Okay.
Everyone's had trauma that's accelerated and propelled their career. And the thing is, what I saw is that when they were strong enough and keep going forward, they just keep going. You know, they don't just, oh, I feel better now. No. It was like a forever mission to get on top of things.
And to suppress all the kind of trauma that they went through?
I think it was more they deal with it in their own way. I think everyone, I'm not a specialist in the grief space, but I...
But you're talking to people. This is what I really appreciate, the fact that when we speak with people, we understand, I wouldn't say the psychology, not to claim any versus any specialist, but you understand more because you're speaking on a certain level that you understand their pain points, their challenges. And
that goes back to that teddy bear and the shampoo. Why do people do what they do? What is their drive and what's their motivator? And sure, you've got people that are high performers in general, but then you've got people that are more emotionally intelligent. So every leader is still working, still trying to figure it out because they're trying to be the best that they can be.
I see. See, this is what I really love about even the theme of my podcast is just to address these points because I know for a fact, and we discussed this offline, about the capability for a lot of people that they can voice their opinions and their thoughts and their knowledge, but they have this kind of a certain limitation. But what you tapped into is really important about how these high achievers, they have this kind of I don't want to misuse the word hustling, but to overcome or to suppress this type of feelings that they went through, unless they have a breaking point.
I think they fuel from it. I don't think they suppress it. I think they fuel it. It's the opposite.
I see. Okay.
So they know, it's like they don't want to have that feeling ever again. They want to be on top of it.
Yeah, but you mentioned something you're encouraging them to be vulnerable about their trauma or something, but it's.
Yeah, I would say no. I don't go. Hey, tell me about your trauma.
Yeah, but
no. It was just more of a common thing that someone's gone through something traumatic, and trauma's there's a big scale of trauma, right?
True. Yeah. Okay.
Like every country has a different kind of
definition of
trauma. I'm not going down that horrific path.
Yeah.
But there's something that there was a pivotal turning point.
I can see. Okay.
And a lot of that pivotal turning point was something that really burnt them. Whatever that might, something traumatic or hurtful, or maybe trauma is a really intense word. And that's kind of what's fueled them to kind of continue. And not every leader has the hustle mindset, right?
Yeah.
What do they do? What they do? What do they do different? How are their styles different? Everyone has different leadership styles. I would say that the great leaders that I see listen more than they talk, and they're very calm.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very calm. They give the space for the people around them to grow, and they know that they know that others know more than them in terms of experts. If you hire an expert, they're the expert. You're learning from them.
I strongly believe in that, and try to make sure that not to show off as you are the clever guy, but at least when you attract the caliber in your team, make sure that they are smarter than you and accept this reality.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what great leaders are. They don't lead at the front, they lead within.
Yeah, true. I totally see this point now. What's your perspective about I don't like to use male, female. It's a very misused word, but now how the things, especially now this month, is the whole theme is about even the word empowerment. I don't like it because it exists as a lady that she's in any position, corporate or even a startup founder. What's your perspective about things and how they're shifting in that space? How to put themselves out, become more confident?
Yeah, it's an interesting topic in terms of that. I think they're not calling it women equality anymore. They're calling it women equity. Yeah, there's this trend going around, and it's crazy. And I know what you mean by the word empowerment, because they were already always empowered.
True.
I strongly believe it is up to the men. Reality is men are in the leadership positions, and the men need to give the space to the women. Support. Just like I did. I wouldn't have grown if I didn't have the men give me the space. And then it's up to those females to then give the space to the woman. Now, I've had bad female leadership before. I've seen it. I've seen women suppress women. I've seen jealousy. It was super unpleasant. And you know, I think that it's up to us to decide and to give back and find a way to be able to really be who we are. Yeah,
I see this point. Yeah, I've seen it also.
You see, I don't know. It's weird when people talk about men and women not being equal. That's really upsetting, because we were raised as I was doing push-ups at the age of 6. I don't think that's very feminine. If you're really trying to.
That's true. But why I have to label it if it's a feminine or masculine?
I think it was just the space of...
It's a physical activity.
Yeah, exactly. Just, are you capable or are you not?
That's
right? And female and males have a really good balance of different things. Males are really good at stuff and females are really good at stuff. And so I'd never try and be a more powerful female in front of a male. I'm not trying to take on his traits. I'm trying to complement them.
Absolutely.
And I think there's a lot of ego and pride in the region. I think it's just the Arabic mentality, and I can say that because I have a Lebanese background, but there is a lot of,
Is it?
There's a lot of pride and ego for sure with the males in certain industries, and and I feel the ones that have daughters understand it a lot more.
I love this angle. I have a daughter, 9 years old, and she owns me. I'm like...
They're softer. They're a lot more softer because they understand it. Not to say the men that don't have daughters don't understand it, but I think that's just reality.
It puts you in a different position. You understand the... I'm reflecting on it like...
Yeah, because you want your daughter to have that safe space.
That's true.
Yeah. And if you look up at aspiring leadership women, they're like, great, they're doing it because they're now creating an environment for my daughter to have that platform.
I see. Where do you find yourself in that space in the upcoming 5-10 years? It's not a recruitment question, but at least how things... Because what you mentioned a while ago, not only the female, the whole... not person branding, at least the positioning or the personal growth or whatever, personal branding. Where do you see yourself? Because you mentioned about the AI and the technology with it.
I was just like saying, hey, I'm not losing the technology.
But you never know. It might happen soon. It's like mind-blowing because I'm following that space. Things are like really going crazy.
It's crazy. Technology's always been there, but the market's never been ready. Like when the QR codes came out, I was like, oh my God, this was 10 years ago. I saw this. Why is everyone excited with the QR code?
True. By the way, it's even the AI now. It's like 5-6 years. It started with the initial now because of the ChatGPT and the 3.5, and now the 4 is coming. It's like things okay. Now people started to understand what AI is. But I think technology is the same pattern. But as Robyn, in the personal branding space, what are the things that you can see evolve, not on the region level, but at least from the methods or how you can approach it? Because going back to the first point I discussed, that how the economy and the businesses and the brands are shifting from the brand to the individualism. And the whole economy now is becoming decentralized, becoming like a one-person business, solopreneur. But where do you see that space going? And what are the things that it can even have like cool, strong methods to improve in that space?
Yeah, I think a lot of even though I work with the C-levels, I think it's then they then have to inject personal branding into their leadership and grow that within their teams. So it's not all about, I call it the head of the dragon, right? It's not all about the CEO.
Okay.
The CEO is like, great, what are my values in the organization? What I want to be doing? I've hired my leadership. Let me inject that into them. Then they can create their own identities and then have their own little teams, or what I call social enterprise of their own personal brands, and grow that so that employees now have a voice.
True. Yeah.
So I see it kind of going further than just the individual. That's why I keep saying it's not only about you. If you can level up your corporate organization brand, which is the brand equity, and then you can level up your personal brand both on and offline and create a really strong social enterprise, as they call it, online platform, then you're invincible, because you've become,
thought leader or the voice.
Exactly.
In that space.
And you're elevating both brands at the same time.
True.
You're at the pinnacle of branding, actually, if you're able to marry your personal brand with your organizational brand.
Yeah, I see where it's going, and but going back to the point, it's like, are they gonna accept this? So
I always thought about, are people going to dim people's voices, right? So if, let's say,
I've been there.
That's what you're going.
Yeah.
I think, well, then why would someone stay in an organization that creates that environment? The minute someone you don't feel yourself, right?
No.
So then why would you stay in an environment where you didn't feel yourself? And I think that's any relationship in general, because work is a relationship. Hey, I'm losing my identity here. I'm in a narcissistic work environment.
True.
It's affecting my wellness, my mental health. I'm waking up every morning and I don't want to be there. Then you shouldn't be there. And it's once again that bravery of taking that step. I know it's not easy. A lot of people have the money thing in their head, and how do I I have responsibilities, and everyone does. That's true.
But there is a thin line between compromising your identity and the financial concern. But yeah, I see the point where I understand, and I'm having a lot of conversation with my colleagues and my friends about this, and they want to voice out. They are fine with under the organization. Yeah. But the organization, they don't allow them, which is mind-blowing now.
Oh, they put policies. They've put policies in terms of... I've seen policies in terms of how you can operate socially, do's and don'ts and posts, but I've never seen someone say, hey, you can't be who you are on your own platform.
Yeah.
So if there's organizations doing that, then I don't know.
Yeah, it's like... Because you'll be surprised, believe me. But yeah, I see how things progressing. But going back to you specifically, it's like how you manage your daily practices, because I'm interested, because you're active, you have athletic background, and I didn't know that you've been like in the bodybuilding, which is impressive. But now, where are you in that space? I'm really interested to explore it more.
Oh, I'm still working out 4 or 5 times a week. I think as you get older, you realize your metabolism slows down. So what happens is you physically see the changes less. Okay. Whereas when you're in your 20s, you could see changes really fast. So a lot of your drive for working out, maybe, or for me, because especially in that bodybuilding space, it was very associated with how you look. Okay. So when I started playing basketball, it was more athletic. I'd eat and train athletic. I didn't really care and think about how I visually looked. Then the social media space opened up, and then the bodybuilding space and all of that. Then you started to think about symmetry and, having the shape that you want, and you started to be a lot more self-critical of yourself. Okay. We all do it. You start to think about your skin, your body, how you look, all the things that everyone's doing. Why is everyone looking like that? A lot of comparisons, right? True. And especially if you're in the health and wellness space and you're in that bodybuilding space of the perfect body, because that's what your objective was. True. To create.
And the curse of comparison with the other fitness model or
Yeah, exactly. So I went through that phase, and then when I read of like that girl named Robyn moment, I was just, I don't know, I just want to be healthy. You know, I want to be healthy. And then when I lost my dad, that for me propelled everything. And it's like, you know what? It's not that whole life is short thing. It's just like, hey, life is long. Life is long, right? And the days are long.
Okay.
And you're with yourself mentally. You're with yourself in the morning, you're with yourself before you go to night. Even though you have a loving environment, if you don't fix that house that we're renting in, right? We're renting this space. You're renting this space mentally and your body physically. So I was like, you know what? If I need to just to stay healthy, and I need to feel good, right? And that, for me, that's mental wellness, just feeling good. And if I recognize I don't feel good in the morning, what can I do to make myself feel better? Do I need to be alone? Do I need to go for a walk? Do I need to not talk to anyone? Do I need to avoid humans? You know, we all have those moments.
True, but is it becoming like maturity and wisdom? Because all of us, we have this kind of like, okay, the curse of comparison. But I like the fact that how you put it in that, okay, how can I make peace with myself and to avoid this kind of distraction around me? And that put me in peace. But this is not the reality. We are social creatures.
Yeah, you're around
we all
it.
fall into the reflection of my reality, my situation now, and how I can control my mood. But yeah, is there any specific kind of like wellness or meditation technique you follow?
No, I did try meditation. I'm still trying to meditate.
You've been in Thailand, it's like you have a lot of like amazing.
No, I think I threw myself in nature a lot. So
Smart.
I love being around the water.
Okay.
So in Dubai, I live around water because it's calming for me. You watch it, you look out. Even if you just look out at water for a moment, it calms you. There's something about it. It's tranquil, it's slow, the movement. Do I sound like a yogi now? I'm not a yogi.
I'm trying to imagine myself on the beach now. But it's regarding the type of nature, but yeah.
Yeah, so in Dubai is nature. It's a desert, yeah. There's nature all around us. So I like to walk around nature. So I don't walk on a treadmill. That for me is like and if I'm going to...
Do you know that the treadmill was a torturing machine?
Yeah.
I was shocked when I was reading.
Oh, was it?
It's true. It's true. There is a proof showing that.
I believe that.
The youth and surprisingly, people are using it. They're torturing themselves. But it used to be like for the slaves to torture to keep them moving.
Really?
Yes.
To keep them athletic too.
To keep them active because if they are
they
dormant, they needed them.
Oh my gosh.
It's like okay.
I didn't know that.
And people are using now intentionally by choice to torture themselves.
Oh my gosh. If I ever was in a situation where I couldn't walk outside, I would pick a treadmill with a view.
Yeah, that's the better choice.
Just of the water.
That's amazing. Robyn, I think this conversation, we're going to take it offline because I'm really interested in that space. But for now, where people can find you? It's like, I'm really interested to know.
Yeah, so wherever suits them really. LinkedIn and Instagram are my most, what I call active channels.
Okay.
So Instagram, girl named Robyn, and LinkedIn, Robyn Abou Chedid.
Abou Chedid, yeah.
Abou Chedid.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn.
Do you really challenge someone pronouncing your family name?
No, unless they're Lebanese. No, because they
Not
look
the
at
Lebanese.
me.
Because when I met you, like Abou Chedid, you were surprised. Like, how did you like?
Yeah, you said it perfect. You had that heavy Abou.
Abou Chedid.
Abou Chedid, yeah.
But of course, I will put the social media handles on the show notes. But it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
No, thank you so much for the invite. Lovely chatting. I know we can talk forever.
Yeah, definitely we can have part 2 because this conversation it's like will never end, and I think you will add a lot of value in that space, and I really look forward for the conversation.
Thank you, Zafran. Thank you for all you're doing.
Amazing.
Do we
Thank
get
you
to
very
clap
much.
again?
No, thank you very everyone for tuning in. Just I need to have this closure.
Okay.
Special thanks for my son who's helping me on the podcast production.
Oh, I love.
Yeah, he's getting paid. Don't worry.
Hustler.
Exactly. He's not cheap. But yeah, thank you very much. Support the show by following us on we are on YouTube channel, on Apple, Spotify, and your favorite podcast applications. Superhuman Switch. Get your switch on. Now the clap.
Now the clap?
Yeah.
Yep.